Former President Trump is under subpoena tonight to testify before the Congressional January 6th committee. The panel asked today for documents by this November 4th and testimony by November 14th about the attack on the U.S. Capitol. Committee leaders said there is overwhelming evidence that Mr. Trump orchestrated efforts to overturn the 2020 election and obstruct the transition of power. Also today, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, asking not to testify about efforts to change Georgia's 2020 results. Longtime Trump ally Steve Bannon was sentenced to 4 months in prison today for contempt of Congress. He had defied a subpoena from the January 6th committee and cited executive privilege, even though he was fired from the White House in 2017. After today's hearing in Washington, Bannon argued that he cooperated with other investigations and was not flouting the law.
I had lawyers that were engaged. They worked through the issues of privilege. And at that time, I went and testified. And this thing about I'm above the law is an absolute and total lie.
Bannon was also fined $6,500. He will remain free pending his appeal. In Ukraine, government forces are ramping up pressure on Russian forces in the south. Overnight, Ukrainian artillery hit resupply routes in the occupied Kherson, including a crucial bridge. Meanwhile, in the east, Russian shelling and missile fire tried to keep the Ukrainians at bay. A missile hit Zaporizhia, damaging homes and injuring scores of people. The UN Security Council voted unanimously today to demand an end to violence and gang activity in Haiti. The vote also imposed sanctions on Jimmy Chirizia, known as Barbecue. His gang has blocked a key fuel terminal. The resolution did not mention sending an international security force. The contest to become Britain's next prime minister has begun in earnest. Top figures in the ruling Conservative Party jockeyed today for support of fellow lawmakers. Malcolm Brabant has our report from Brighton, England.
4 senior Conservatives are angling to become the next leader of a country in dire need of stability. The race is on to replace the hapless Liz Truss, who quit after just 44 days in office and will go down in history as Britain's shortest-serving Prime Minister.
I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
The governing Conservatives have promised to have a new Prime Minister in place within a week, the 3rd Premier this year.
Morning, Mr. Sunak.
The top contenders include former Treasury Chief Rishi Sunak, who's promising to revive the country's economy, which has been destabilised by the political turmoil. House of Commons leader Penny Mordaunt is the Tory grassroots favourite and the first to formally announce her run. Even the former disgraced Prime Minister Boris Johnson is considering a comeback months after being forced out by a string of scandals. But it's unclear if he can muster enough support. Each candidate needs the backing of at least 100 Conservative lawmakers.
He's proven to be a liar and a cheat with a moral vacuum.
Defence Secretary Ben Wallace, a potential unifying figure, ruled himself out of the running today and said he favours Johnson. I'm in Brighton on England's southern coast, and this is a Labour constituency. People here are hoping that Britain's political chaos is going to lead to a general election. But they may be out of luck because legally the Conservatives can stay in office until 2024 as long as they have a parliamentary majority. The last thing the Conservatives want is a general election because that would be like turkeys voting for Thanksgiving. In London, frustration over the country's political turmoil is mounting.
They just changed the person. We've had 5 of them in the last 7 years. And they've not changed one thing in this country. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, the middle class like me gets squeezed.
Nominations for the next Prime Minister officially close Monday afternoon. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Malcolm Brabant in Brighton, England.
Elsewhere in Europe, Italy ushers in a new government tomorrow. Giorgia Meloni will be sworn in as the country's first female premier, leading Italy's first far-right governing coalition since World War II. Meloni faces soaring energy prices and divisions over support for Ukraine. The Elections Commission in Pakistan disqualified former Prime Minister Imran Khan today from holding public office for 5 years. It found that he illegally sold state gifts and concealed assets. Khan's supporters responded by trying to force entry into the commission building. They are angry that he will lose his National Assembly seat. Khan said he will challenge today's ruling. Back in this country, the federal deficit totaled nearly $1.4 trillion in the fiscal year just ended. That was down by half from the year before. At the same time, the red ink rose sharply in September, reflecting the cost of forgiving student loans. And we'll return to the student debt plan after the news summary. And on Wall Street, major stock indexes surged up 2 to 2.5%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained nearly 750 points to close at 31,082. The Nasdaq rose almost 245 points. The S&P 500 added 87. For the week, all three indexes gained close to 5% or more. Still to come on the NewsHour, refugees flee conflict sparked by climate change in Central Africa. David Brooks and Ruth Marcus weigh in on the latest political headlines. Author Roger Bennett discusses soccer's greatest players as the Men's World Cup approaches, plus much more.
This is the PBS NewsHour from WETA Studios in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.